Hello, everyone.
Oh god, they can see us. Oh god.
Well, let's hope they can hear us just fine. Apparently, the one that Brian and I just did, Insidious, The Last Key. I guess depending on how you watch it, there's weirdness with the video, I guess. Apparently, it'll cut away like 10 minutes in. Apparently, sometimes it gives us chipmunk voices. It always sounded fine on my end, so I'm like, I don't know what's going on with some people's browsers or anything. From what I've gathered, it sounds like the Insidious video is maybe having some issues if you're watching it on the app.
It's ghosts.
Or it's just ghosts.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how dare you not like our movie? Fuck you. Chipmunk voices.
It's January. Not even the reviews are that well made. So I guess if you're watching it in a browser or at the least you refresh it or something like that, maybe that works. I don't know. But there's a handful of people are having similar chipmunk problems with the Insidious one. Maybe that makes the review more interesting. I don't know. Like I said, it works fine on my end.
It's got to be better than the chipmunk movies, so.
That's true. And I only saw the fourth one.
God, fuck that
I only
shit.
saw the road chip.
Fuck that shit.
I should promote our store a little bit more. I don't do that enough, but I got this in the mail for myself earlier. We got a store that's over on Zazzle.com. It's Zazzle.com/TheCinemaSnob. You can get Lloyd-approved shirts, Cinema Snob shirts, a Property of Slaver Brian shirt. That's one. And we've got now for the Lloyd animated series as well. There's a Sasquatch one. There's one with a bunch of characters on here. One with Lloyd just sitting there holding a glass of bourbon, like real Lloyd does. Somebody mentioned, like, my go-to answer right now for any kind of vanity project is a YouTuber who gets popular enough that he can make he can make a whole animated series for his cats. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's one of my favorite of our shows, too. So this was, in case you've been following, a lot of us have been very, very sick. So originally, you and I were going to be at something later on, and Sarah and I were planning on going to see this. We originally planned on seeing it Monday, but Dave got sick, so Sarah stayed home, and Dave had what I had. And right before I called you earlier, I got a text from Dave saying, yeah, Sarah's got it now. So it started out with Brian getting it, then me, Dave, and now Sarah. So I guess you're next.
No, stay there. That shit can stay. Fuck that shit. I can't get sick right now. I'm in my probationary period. I can't get sick. Gotta go to work like a death. I'm dying, but I'm still here.
Dying.
I can still type.
So we decided to go see Proud Mary instead, which came out last weekend, but between being sick and playing catch up, it's taken a little bit to finally get around to seeing some of these. Now, the advertisements for Proud Mary are pretty awesome, especially if you're a big fan of the blaxploitation movies like I am, the stuff from the 70s, the Pam Grier movies, of course, Foxy Brown, Coffee, Sheba Baby, all of those, and even some other ones too, like TNT Jackson, Lady Coco, Velvet Smooth. I love those movies. I love all of those female blaxploitation movies, and you can tell that this one is trying to bring in that audience, especially with that trailer, which was a lot of fun. The trailer was a blast for this movie. Even the poster for this is well done, which is Taraji P. Henson's face with an afro made up of different action sequences from the movie. And the opening...
All the action sequences from the movie.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. So this movie had a lot going for it. I really love Taraji P. Henson a lot, and I think she was a good casting for this movie.
Yeah.
But you know, if you grew up on a lot of those movies like I did, and you love the trailer for this movie and you love the poster, stick with those. Whoever cut the trailer for this movie did a damn good job. They did. This film is, it's less that it reminds me of something from the 70s, like the Pam Grier movies and the other stuff like TNT Jackson. Like, it's less that it reminds me of those, because those have a certain edge and a kind of grit to them that this movie really doesn't have much of, or at least to the point that those movies did. It reminds me less of one of those from the 70s and more like something from the 90s, where they kind of tried bringing that stuff, like Original Gangsters.
Payback.
The Mel Gibson movie?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a movie I really love, but
it's got a very similar vibe.
Yeah, I can see that. Aesthetically, I can see that. I think Payback's a way more well-made movie than this, but I could see where these two would fall during that same era of filmmaking. This was reminding me more of something like Original Gangsters from the 90s, or even some of like the direct-to-video 90s Fred Williams and stuff, or the made-for-cable television. It's not very good. And I know you're not going to a movie like this because you want some kind of masterpiece or anything like that. No, you're going to this because you want to have a good time, and you want to see a blaxploitation movie that's maybe reminiscent of something like the 70s. But it's not as fun as those. It doesn't have the teeth of those. It's
Lone Wolf and Cub.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you saw Logan was a much better version of this film.
You've seen this kind of action. Yeah, you've seen this kind of action movie before many times, where Taraji P. Henson is Mary. She's a hit woman for a crime organization, and at the very beginning of it, she kills a guy, but then, oh no, it turns out the guy had a kid, and the kid's in the house. We've seen that a million goddamn fucking times before. They do it here. A difference is it doesn't make her retire. She keeps doing what she's doing. She just feels really bad about it.
Yeah.
So it's a year later, and she takes the kid in because the kid is working for a competing crime syndicate. And all of these crime organizations, there's the one that's the Russians, where they're just sitting around drinking vodka all the time. And then there's the one that's
not a joke.
That is not a joke. It even has 90s action movie villains in it. Like the guy, I forget his name. He's the guy, Raid. The guy from Snatch.
Yeah.
Like, him being one of the villains here, who was only in one or two scenes, made me think like, oh, it's like a 90s action movie. Okay. Xander Berkeley is one of the Russian bad guys in it. So these crime and then there's the one Mary works for, which is run by Danny Glover. And these crime families are so stupid. So Mary, the kid is working for the Russians, and Mary goes in and says, I don't want him working for you anymore. And then a gunfight breaks out, and she kills the guys. Instantly, the Russians just know Danny Glover's group had something to do with it. Just 'cause, I guess. I guess they're the only two crime families in this town.
I don't know. Black folks always do it. That's how that works. No.
It's just them just making shitty decisions where if you just made one right decision, there wouldn't be much of a movie, honestly. Like, there's a whole thing about Mary wanting to leave the crime organization. There's really no reason why Danny Glover shouldn't just say yes, shouldn't just say, well, okay,
It's pride. It's pride.
I guess, yeah, but it's like, let her go.
It's because he's getting too old for this shit, and he needs someone to take over.
Yeah. You're all just getting yourselves killed. You're all just fucking getting yourselves killed over this shit. And the movie has some moments in it. Like, Taraji P. Henson is very good. She's good with the kid, too. Her and the kid have some decent back and forths with each other. The kid even gets in some good lines every now and then. But there's really not much in the way of action sequences, and there's not that many good lines in this. not even that it's not even that I'm saying, oh, the dialogue's bad. It's not even that. It's just flat. It's just there's not really anything quotable. There's not really any kind of like real biting over the top dialogue. Not that I want this movie to be parody. I just want it to have a personality, and it doesn't. It doesn't have much of a personality.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Even the main action set piece that they set up at the end to Proud Mary, the song, of course.
Yeah.
They have to shoehorn that in, which is fine. But,
Sure, yeah.
But when they let her go, it's great. She handles herself well, but it's not going to be something I remember like, oh yeah, remember in that part where it was like that? No, she shoots people up, and she does it very well, but it's not like it's...
And it was the best scene in the movie, because it was the only scene in the movie where I felt like I was getting what I paid for.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, that part, that whole 10, 15-minute part of the movie is what they sold the trailer on. And then they bring in the kid, and it becomes more of a drama than an action movie.
The trailer for this, again, is cut by somebody who is very good at his job.
Yeah.
But the trailer shows you really every interesting thing about the movie. It's way more stylish than the actual movie. But again, like we said, when it gets to that last 15 minutes where the kid is kidnapped and then Mary goes batshit and goes on a shooting spree and Proud Mary is playing, that was cool. I was having a very good time in that scene.
Yes.
And it would be like if you were watching John Wick and a majority of the movie was just really boring, flat conversations back and forth with only maybe a little bit of action every now and then. And then in the last 15 minutes, it became John Wick. You know, like, the movie's not... It feels like a direct-to-video action movie. It feels like a direct-to-video action movie from, like, 1996. It's not very good, and it should be. It's a disappointment, because the whole movie... If you've seen the trailer, you can picture in your head what this movie should be. The whole movie, you're wanting it to be something more than it is, and they just didn't deliver enough.
It could have easily been more of like a revenge story.
Yeah.
And her just taking people out. I feel like I feel like there's two movies here. Like, they started out in a John Wick kind of vein. And then, I don't know if... Because I saw that Taraji actually executive produced it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she had any... I don't think she would have, but... So it seems like somewhere in the long lines they didn't want to do that film. Mm-hmm. So they shoehorned in this plot with the kid, and it just, it doesn't work as well as it should.
I've seen movies like this where, I mean, you mentioned Lone Wolf and Cub, you know, like I've seen movies like this where it's somebody who is an action person who's now in charge of a kid, and there's people after the kid. I mean, because Logan did that, and Logan was fantastic about it. Or like Safe with Jason Statham. Yeah. It's a thing that there's a lot of movies that fall into that plot, like Leon the Professional. Oh yeah, which is a masterpiece. Yes, which is probably the best of its kind, honestly. And that's one of those movies where it didn't have to be. There didn't have to be a lot of action. But the action pieces that they had were fantastic. Yeah, and it had good drama. And it had Gary Oldman. Yes. Like if you had, I'll tell you what, if you would have had Gary Oldman as a villain in this movie, I think that would have driven it a little bit more. As that villain, one of the best 90s villains in that film. Yeah. Just give him a role and just go, just do you. That's a movie that balanced both things really well. It balanced the humor and the drama of the situation between Jean Reno and Natalie Portman, the sinisterism of Gary Oldman, and also all the action set pieces. That really is just like a perfect film. This one, it doesn't do a good enough job at both. It's too much of the like drama, because it's not that interesting, so it just feels like it's there too much, and there's not enough of the big action set pieces to mix it in and make everything else feel kind of interesting. It's just mostly flat until that last 15 minutes when it actually kicks itself into gear and does something kind of cool in that last 15 minutes. But it was too little too late. It's an uninteresting movie with an okay climax. Again, I really liked her in the movie. You could tell she probably had a lot of fun doing this.
Oh yeah, and she's great at it. I mean, if there is one saving grace in the movie, it's that everything she does in it is just great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's finally. It's taken her way too long to get the recognition she's deserved.
She's fantastic.
But she's starting to get it now, and I hope that she gets to have more things like this, things that she likes to do or wants to do, and just give her the reins.
You seen the trailer for Acrimony yet?
The fuck is Acrimony?
It's the next Tyler Perry movie.
Oh, fuck that.
Watch the trailer, though, because the trailer for it, it's like I'm going into it cautious because it's a fucking Tyler Perry film, but whoever cut the trailer for that movie, again, is a fucking genius.
like when they cut the one where everybody had AIDS at the end?
Temptation?
Yeah.
The trailer for Acrimony, it's sold heavily on the fact that the editing in the trailer is pretty intense, and also it's starring her, and she's very fucking talented. I mean, if there's somebody who could elevate a movie like that, it might be her. But she's an incredibly talented person, and she's proved countless times how great she is dramatically. And it's cool in this, seeing her getting more of an action movie role.
And she handles it really well. Yeah. It's not like it doesn't seem there's no point where you go, oh, there's no way she could do this. She handles herself very well.
I did like, because there's a part in the movie where she, takes one to the side, and I liked how, man, that really fucked her up. I mean, you're used to a movie like this, they'll take one to the side, and it might fuck them up a little bit, but they'll be fine. In this, yeah, she was, had, the fever sweats, and is, chugging this whiskey, and yeah, just taking one to the side in this just really fucked her up, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, it was realistic. It was, when you take a bullet, you're not just gonna shrug it off like some of these action movies. It hurts.
Yeah,
it's not something that you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's an itch.
The kid had to put her to bed after that. She looked bad. She
might have been half drunk too at that point.
It's true. Yeah, she was maybe about halfway.
She was hitting that bottle hard.
Yeah. This is a movie that it shouldn't be in theaters. This movie has a home on video, and if you rent it, hey, it's serviceable as something like that.
Because it's not a terrible movie.
No,
that's the thing. It's not terrible. No. It's just
no, it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
It's a disappointment. It could have been a lot more than what it was. It could have been, at the least, it could have been a lot more fun. It's really not that fun.
So especially, I mean, it's only 88 minutes. It's
long.
Very short, and the credits are rolling over the end scene, so it's not even
what was that?
They didn't really need to do that.
I thought at first it was going to be a blooper reel, but I was like, oh. No, it's first of all, even a blooper reel would be weird for the end of this movie, but it's a scene with her and the kid just after the next to last scene, I guess, as the credits are going. I don't know. That was awkward. That was awkward. They did a thing in Roman J. Israel Esquire, where the camera's panning away from Colin Farrell's back as he's waiting to fill out paperwork or something, and the credits are playing over it. It's is something gonna happen?
What?
He's just standing in line.
Well, and the whole time, the way they lingered at the end there, and they're doing their embrace and everything, I was waiting for somebody to shoot her in the back.
I was too.
Really was. I was
I was too, yeah.
Are they gonna kill her? Actually, I would have given the movie more credit if they would have done something like that. Just straight up, just Bang bang, and then
Maybe.
she's dead, and then that's it.
Maybe we'll get a sequel.
Proud Mary 2, Proud Marrier.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's something about Proud Mary.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, it's a rental. It's a movie where you go out and you spend $1 or $2 getting this from the new release wall. You take it home on a Friday night. Sure, it's serviceable as that, but you'll have a better time watching something like Coffee or Foxy Brown or Friday Foster. Like, you'll have a better time with those movies. Even some of the ones from the 90s were maybe a little more entertaining than this. Maybe, I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen, like, original Gangstas. I don't even remember that being very good back then. So, it's... I don't know how much this movie cost to make. I know it made, I think $10 million or something last weekend, so I don't know if this is a movie that's going to make its budget back. I don't know what the budget was on the thing, but it's not worth seeing in theaters. It really doesn't...
Yeah.
Huh?
Unfortunately not, yeah.
No, it doesn't feel like something that should be in theaters. Any final thoughts about the movie?
Just an overall sense of disappointment in what was expected or what was sold and what we got.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like I said, the movie that we got isn't bad. It's just not the movie they said it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so you come in and they pull the bait and switch on you. It's like, okay, well, this is all right. But I want more of her shooting and killing people. I do. I need more of her just straight up murdering people, because that is what was promised to me from the trailer. I want this more, and I'm not getting it, so I'm disappointed.
Just watch the trailer. Honestly, just watch the trailer and call it a day. Like, you've already kind of gotten the most out of this movie if you just watch the trailer for it.
There's probably like a 20-30 minute short that would actually be fun. Like, if they cut this down to, just a short film.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty fun.
I could see that. It probably wouldn't be that fucking hard either.
No.
This movie's pretty fucking thin.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of dialogue. It's just oh, no. Just no.
Uh-huh. You could take the first 5 minutes of this movie to where she takes in the kid, and then cut to that witness talking to the villain saying, I saw the kid leave the building, and then he goes and gets the kid, and then there's the ending action sequences. You could chop this movie down to about 20 minutes and it would make just as much sense.
Yeah.
Lovely. There's an editing job for you. Alright, well, tomorrow I got Den of Thieves, and there's still some stuff I gotta see. I still gotta see The Post, and eventually I'm sure we'll see Molly's Game.
Yeah, one of these days. Take 3. That's how that...
Yeah, exactly.
Shit. This is almost as bad as some things, what is it?
Just Getting Started?
Getting Started, yeah.
Yeah.
It only took us twice to see, well, not yet.
To see an hour of the movie.
Technically, it's still going to take us 3 times to see the whole movie.
Yeah. When they dump that shit on video.
I couldn't believe you told me that one of the actors bitched and moaned at you. Really?
Okay, yeah.
Fucking, that's so stupid.
You know what? I'll save that story for when we eventually do a video on.
Yes.
When we eventually do a video on the last 30 minutes of that film. I'll save that story for then, but
just be like, guess what? It gets worse. No, I'm sure it's going to though.
It really turned itself around in the last half hour.
Right. The last half hour were the best.
I really spoke too soon when I said this was one of the worst films of the year. All right, guys. See you later. Thanks for watching.